The horse that carried more than weight doctors said she would never walk again, but a horse believed differently. 8-year-old Sophia loved to run. She ran through sprinklers in the summer. She ran toward her father when he came home from work. She ran along the beach, collecting seashells, as if the ocean were giving her tiny treasures meant only for her. Her laughter was the kind that made strangers smile. Then one rainy evening, everything changed. A truck missed a red light. Metal screamed. Glass shattered, and in a single violent moment, childhood split in two, before and after. When Sophia woke up in the hospital, the world felt heavy. Machines beeped softly. Her mother's eyes were swollen from crying. Her father held her hand as if letting go would make her disappear. Sophia tried to move her legs. Nothing. She tried again. Nothing. The doctors were gentle. Too gentle. They explained spinal trauma, nerve damage, percentages, possibilities. Words like unlikely and long-term floated in the sterile air. She may never walk again. Her mother broke down. Her father turned his face away so Sophia wouldn't see him cry. But Sophia saw, and something inside her dimmed. The days became quiet. Sophia stopped asking to go home. Stopped asking about school. Stopped asking about her friends. She stopped smiling. She stopped talking. At night, when she thought her parents were asleep, she would stare at the ceiling and whisper to herself, "I, Dante, want to be broken." Rehabilitation began weeks later. Physical therapy rooms smelled like antiseptic in effort. Therapists moved her legs for her, encouraged her, cheered small improvements, but Sophia's eyes were empty. One afternoon, her therapist knelt beside her. "There's something different we could try," she said gently. "It involves a horse." Sophia didn't respond, but her mother did. And this, how they found themselves at a small therapeutic riding center on the outskirts of town. The barn smelled of hay and sunlight. It was quiet. The kind of quiet that feels alive. And there he was, a tall chestnut horse with kind, patient eyes. His name was Whisper. He wasn't the fastest horse. He wasn't the strongest. But he had been chosen for one reason. He was gentle beyond measure. Sophia wouldn't look at him at first. Her father wheeled her closer. Whisper lowered his massive head. Slowly, carefully. He breathed warm air into her small hands. Sophia flinched, but then she felt it. Not pressure. Not expectation. Just warmth. For the first time since the accident, Sa looked up, and Whisper looked back. The first session was hard. Very hard. With assistance, therapists lifted Sophia onto Whisper's back. Her body felt unstable, fragile, unsure. She panicked. "I'm going to fall," she cried. But Whisper didn't move, not an inch. His muscles shifted just enough to steady her. They began to walk. Slow, rhythmic. Left, right. Left, right. Left. Something about the motion was different from anything she had felt in a wheel. Her hips moved naturally. Her spine responded instinctively. Muscles long, silent, stirred faintly, but Sophia didn't notice that yet. She only knew that for the first time in months. She felt taller. Weeks turned into months. Some days Sophia cried in frustration. Her legs wouldn't cooperate. Her body wouldn't obey. "I hate this," she shouted once, hitting her small fists against the saddle. Whisper simply stopped walking and waited. When she calmed, he continued, never rushing her, never resisting, as if he understood grief, as if he knew what it meant to carry something invisible. Winter came. The barn air grew cold, but Whisper's breath still felt warm against her hands. One snowy afternoon, during a routine session, something happened. Sophia felt it before anyone saw it. A tiny flicker. Her right foot twitched. Just barely, her mother gasped. Did you see that? The therapists froze. Again, Sophia. Try again. Sophia concentrated. Tears rolled down her cheeks. And there it was. Another twitch. Small, but real. In that quiet barn, it felt like a miracle. From that day forward, something changed. Sophia tried harder, not because the doctors believed, not because statistics improved, but because Whisper walked with her like progress was already certain. He never celebrated too soon, never showed disappointment, just steady steps. Left, right, left. 2 years passed, 2 years of early mornings, of setbacks, of exhaustion. There were days Sophia wanted to quit. Days when her friends were outside playing and she was inside learning how to shift her weight. But every time she considered giving up, Whisper would turn his head slightly, as if checking on her, as if asking, "Are you still here?" And she was. Then came the day no one expected. Sophia had been practicing standing between parallel bars inside the barn aisle. Her legs trembled violently. Her father stood behind her. Her mother covered her mouth. "Just one step," the therapist whispered. Sophia's breath shook. She thought of running through sprinklers. She thought of seashells. She thought of Whisper's steady walk. And she stepped. It wasn't graceful. It wasn't strong. But it was hers. Her first real step. Her mother collapsed into tears. Her father sobbed openly, and Whisper stood nearby, silent, watching, as if he had known all along. Months later, Sophia walked the length of the barn aisle with assistance. Then with a walker. Then slowly, carefully, on her own. The entire staff gathered. No applause. Just quiet reverence, because this wasn't about spectacle. It was about resilience. When Sophia reached Whisper, she wrapped her arms around his neck. Her voice, once silent for months, was steady. "He carried my sadness before he carried my weight." Even the strongest adults in the barn cried that day. Years later, Sophia would return, not as a patient, but as a volunteer. She would walk beside children in wheelchairs. She would tell them, "Don't rush your miracle." And Whisper, now older, would still lower his head gently to meet small trembling hands. Because sometimes healing doesn't begin with medicine. Sometimes it begins with being seen, with being carried, with someone strong enough to hold your pain until you are ready to hold yourself again. Sophia once asked her mother, "Why did Whisper help me?" Her mother smiled through tears, "Because he never saw you as broken." And maybe that was the secret. Not strength, not science, not luck, but belief. The quiet kind, the kind that walks beside you long before you can walk alone. Healing often begins when someone carries your heart before your body, who has been quietly carrying your pain while you were learning how to stand again.